The galaxy had nearly forgotten about Earth. 200 years ago, the humans simply disappeared. No final message, no declarations of war or peace, just silence. Their colonies went dark. Their ships vanished. Trade stations were abandoned. Earth, once noisy and proud, fell completely quiet. At first, the other species waited. Maybe it was a political shift or a civil war. Maybe they were wiped out. But when years turned into decades, and then centuries, the galaxy moved on. Human territory was slowly divided up. Alien species filled the gap. Earth became a mystery, a myth, just another strange footnote in the long history of space. And then came the signal. Short, cold, and direct. This is Earth Command. The human exclusion zone is now active. Any vessel entering will be considered hostile. You are advised to remain outside the restricted sectors. This is your only warning. No explanation. No diplomacy. No discussion. Across the galactic core, alarms lit up. Governments scrambled to decode the message. Councils gathered in emergency meetings. Earth was back, but different. The map changed overnight. Hundreds of light-years of space were suddenly marked in red, marked human space, do not enter. And at the edge of that new forbidden zone, orbiting a red dwarf star, stood Vigilant Edge. A massive human outpost, sleek, silent, and heavily armed. No one knew when it was built. No one had seen it until now. But its presence said everything. Inside its command deck, footsteps echoed. Commander Jack Voss stepped through the bridge, hands behind his back, gaze steady on the holographic star map. He was tall, clean-shaven, with deep eyes that rarely blinked. His uniform was simple. No medals. No distractions. Just black, with the silver symbol of the Stellar Guard on his chest, a silent spiral around a star. "Status?" he asked, his voice calm. "Alien ships are approaching the border," said Lieutenant Rena Sol, standing beside the map. "Zalari, Okari, 2 Argon cruisers. They're scanning the edge. No one's crossed yet." "They will," Jack said. He turned to the massive viewport ahead. Through it, the stars blinked quietly. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching, waiting to see if Earth was bluffing. Jack wasn't bluffing. He remembered the silence. He remembered what Earth had become. He had seen things, technology that shouldn't exist, energy that didn't follow laws. The galaxy thought humanity had been hiding. That was only half true. Earth had evolved. Not just militarily. Not just scientifically. Humanity had transcended. And Jack was one of the few who truly understood what was now hidden behind that red border. An alert chimed. Rena's eyes narrowed. Zalari's scout ship just broke formation. It's moving into restricted space. Jack said nothing. The crew watched the ship's path on the screen. It drifted forward, slowly, deliberately. One ship. A test. They wanted to see if Earth was serious. "Should we engage?" Rena asked. "No," Jack replied. "Let them see." Seconds passed. Then the scout ship disappeared. Not exploded. Not destroyed. It simply vanished. No fire. No debris. One moment it was there. The next, it wasn't. Not even its transponder signal remained. As if it had never existed at all. Rena's voice was quiet. "Sir, what just happened?" Jack didn't answer immediately. He stared at the empty dot on the screen where the ship had been. Then he said, "Message to all hands. We are now at level black. Prepare for more incursions." He turned back to the viewport. "They'll send more," he whispered. The galaxy would not listen to warnings. It never had. But they would learn. The silence had returned. And this time, it spoke volumes. The Zalari coalition did not believe in fear. Their warships had crushed rebellions, outmaneuvered rival empires, and crossed thousands of star systems without bowing to anyone. So when Earth's message declared vast space is restricted, they didn't hesitate. High Prefect Torwin Vol stood tall on the command deck of the Obsidian Talon, his flagship. His thick violet armor shimmered under the ceiling lights. His 2 hearts beat in sync with the ship's core. Around him, his officers watched the holographic projection of the restricted zone, Earth's so-called exclusion territory. "Pathetic," Torwin growled. "They think they can vanish for 2 centuries and return with threats?" One of his captains stepped forward. "Prefect, the scout ship never reported back. We've lost contact." Torwin's eyes narrowed. Mechanical failure. Or a trick. Humans have always been good at illusions. But it wasn't just one ship. Soon, 2 more were missing. Then a third. No signal. No wreckage. No trace. Torwin didn't panic, yet. But the whispers from other alien fleets were growing. Some captains from the Okari delegation were hesitant. The Argon twins, a joint psychic command pair, had even pulled back their outer ships. Something about feeling a void, they claimed. A sense of emptiness in that part of space that didn't feel natural. Torwin didn't care. He wasn't here to be frightened. He was here to expose the bluff. He opened a secure channel, the Vigilant Edge. The human officer on screen was cold and quiet. He stood straight, black uniform sharp and plain. No medals. No rank markings. Just a name, Commander Jack Voss. "This is High Prefect Torwin Vol of the Zalari Coalition," Torwin said, his voice loud and clear. "You are claiming territory that is not yours. You have no authority. Withdraw your false warning, or we will come through." Jack didn't blink. "Then come through." Torwin paused, surprised by the lack of anger or even explanation. "Your ships are disappearing," Jack continued. "They're not being attacked. They're being removed. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I don't fear your tricks, Commander." "This is not fear," Jack said. "This is a favor. Turn back while you still can." Before Torwin could respond, the signal cut off. Back on Vigilant Edge, the command deck was quiet. Rena turned to Jack. "Shouldn't we at least explain what we're doing?" Jack shook his head. "Explaining makes it sound like a negotiation. But if they keep sending ships, they'll stop." Jack stepped forward and looked at the map. More alien vessels were moving now. A larger Zalari ship had crossed the line. Then another from a different species. The galaxy was testing the human border again. 3 incursions detected, Rena said. "Awaiting orders." "Maintain silence," Jack replied. "Observe only." On the screens, each ship continued forward. Then, gone. No noise. No impact. Just absence. Sensors struggled to even understand what had happened. The ships weren't destroyed. They hadn't gone into hyperspace. They had been erased. Even their last positions were fading from the computer logs. "What kind of weapon is this?" Rena whispered. Jack didn't answer. The officers around the bridge watched in stunned silence. Many had trained their whole lives for battle, but this wasn't battle. It was something else. Something colder. Cleaner. Terrifying. Back on the obsidian Talon, Torwin slammed his fist on the table. "This is not possible," he roared. "What are they doing? Where are the ships?" "They've been removed from our records, Prefect," said one of his officers. "We can't even find sensor logs. It's as if they were never there." That sentence hit harder than any explosion. Across the Coalition fleet, messages flew. Captains were nervous. Some began pulling back. Others locked weapons and requested orders. The Argon twins had vanished from the grid, retreating without a word. Torwin wasn't ready to quit. He opened another channel to Vigilant Edge. This time, Jack didn't even appear on screen. Only his voice came through. "You've seen enough. Take your fleets and leave. This is the last time I will say it." Torwin's jaw clenched. "We don't back down. Then you'll learn why everyone else did." The line went dead again. On Earth, thousands of kilometers away, high above the planet's surface in an invisible orbit, a system came online. No energy spike. No lights. Just a quiet hum. It was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It didn't fire. It didn't destroy. It simply removed. Humanity hadn't returned to threaten the galaxy. It had returned to warn it. But some didn't believe warnings. Not yet. Jack Voss watched the alien fleets reposition. He could feel the tension rising. Some would retreat. Others would attack. All would learn. "This isn't over," he said softly. Rena looked at him. "Then what happens now?" Jack gave a single answer. "Now, we wait." The command deck of Vigilant Edge was quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. Every crew member moved with careful urgency, eyes fixed on screens, hands tapping controls, voices low. The silence that surrounded them was not comfort, it was pressure. Thick and heavy. Commander Jack Voss stood at the center of it all, unmoving. His eyes scanned the fleet positions around the human exclusion zone. The alien ships hadn't retreated yet. Some had. Yes, the Argon twins were gone. So were a few of the smaller traders and scouts. But the core fleets remained. The Zalari, the Okari, the Krandii, and High Prefect Torwin Vol. 3 more alien vessels had crossed the boundary since the last warning. All 3 vanished. No explosions. No screams. No transmissions. They entered the zone and were erased. Now the fleets held position, just outside the line. Watching. Thinking. Trying to understand. "Sir," said Lieutenant Rena Soul, breaking the silence, "we've detected encrypted communication between the alien command ships. Looks like they're forming a joint council." Jack nodded. "They're getting desperate." Rena hesitated. "We should show them something." Let them know what we're capable of. Let them see how serious this is. Maybe it'll stop them from doing something worse. They already know it's serious, Jack said calmly. They just don't believe it yet. He turned and left the bridge. Down in the lower levels of Vigilant Edge, the lights were dim. No one came here without clearance. As Jack walked, the halls grew quieter. The walls changed, more reinforced, more sterile. These levels were not built for comfort. They were built to contain what should not be seen. He reached a sealed door. A retinal scan, a voice print, and a DNA check granted him access. The door opened without a sound. Inside was a long chamber lined with dark glass panels. Behind each one was a different type of energy field, slowly pulsing, shifting in impossible ways. Some shimmered like water. Others twisted space itself. In the center of the room stood a single chair facing a small observation window. Jack walked past the glass panels without looking at them. He sat down in the chair and stared out the window. Beyond it, hidden by layers of stealth tech, was the heart of Earth's secret, the quantum displacement core. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It didn't fire lasers or missiles. It didn't produce heat or radiation. It didn't even make sound. It simply erased. The core could target ships, systems, or even thoughts stored in machines. When it activated, its targets ceased to be. Not just destroyed, forgotten. Erased from space, time, and memory. It had taken humanity decades to understand how to use it. And even now, only a few people truly understood what it did. Jack was one of them. He hated it, but he would use it if he had to. His thoughts were interrupted by the hiss of the door behind him. Rena stepped inside. I know I don't have clearance for this level, she said, but I had to see it. Jack didn't turn to face her. Then look. She stepped beside him and stared through the window at the strange, silent machine. This is what removed the ships, she asked. Jack nodded. I thought it was a weapon, she said. But this isn't war. It's something else. It's silence, Jack said. Perfect, permanent silence. Rena looked at him. And you're okay with using it? Jack finally turned. His eyes were tired. No. But the galaxy has always understood one thing: power. And this is the one thing they can't fight. Rena was quiet for a moment. They're forming an alliance, Jack. If they attack together. They won't. How can you be sure? He looked back at the core. Because they're starting to understand. It's not about who has the biggest fleet or the most ships. It's about who can't be touched. Back on the bridge, alerts started flashing again. Alien ships were shifting. Several had moved closer to the border, testing the line again. Others had begun pulling back, unsure. Messages were flying between the fleets. Arguments. Fear. Confusion. One alien vessel, a large Okari cruiser, moved forward alone. Its lights flashed in a message. We request peaceful entry. We mean no harm. The request came to Jack as he stepped back onto the bridge. Rena looked at him. They're not attacking. They just want to enter. Maybe they're trying to talk. Jack stared at the message. No one enters, he said. But sir. No one, he repeated. Not even peacefully. That's the rule. The crew watched in silence as the Okari cruiser drifted forward, slowly crossing into the restricted zone. And then gone. Its lights disappeared. Its signal faded. The logs erased themselves. No record remained. Rena stepped back from her console. Her face was pale. That ship wasn't aggressive. I know, Jack said. Then why? Because the line must hold, Jack said. We warned them. And we warned them again. Now they're learning. He turned toward the large screen ahead, where dozens of alien ships now stood frozen in space. They'll keep testing us. Until they finally stop. He didn't say it with pride. He said it with certainty. Because Jack knew the silence had returned. And it was only just beginning. Tension hung like thick smoke aboard Vigilant Edge. Every second, more ships arrived near the edge of the human exclusion zone. Some hovered in silence. Others slowly circled the line, unsure whether to test it or flee. But no one crossed, not after what happened to the Okari cruiser. That single disappearance had shaken the coalition harder than any weapon ever could. Yet on the human side, silence ruled. No threats. No explanations. No actions beyond the quiet removals of ships that ignored the warning. Commander Jack Voss stood alone in the observation deck. The stars outside blinked like steady watchmen. He had barely slept in days, but his posture never slouched. He kept his mind sharp, his face unreadable. But inside, doubt had begun to stir. He remembered Earth before the silence. A world struggling with endless noise, political fights, digital chaos, wars that solved nothing. Then one day, it all went quiet. Earth shut down all contact. Its colonies went dark. Science turned inward. And something changed. Jack had been a young officer then. He remembered his first assignment after the silence ended. A test operation. A small town deep in a desert was selected for controlled displacement. No one lived there anymore. It was abandoned. Forgotten. The device activated. There was no sound. No light. The air didn't shift. But when the test ended, the town was gone, not just removed from the land, but removed from history. All maps were blank. All photos corrupted. All records missing. Only those who had seen it remembered. And Jack remembered. The quantum displacement core didn't destroy things. It made them never exist at all. It unraveled time around a target, wiping it from space, from memory, from all records. That was what humanity had developed during the silence. A weapon too terrible to explain. So they didn't. They simply said, "Don't enter." Behind Jack, the door hissed open. Lieutenant Rena Soul stepped in. Her face was serious. "We need to talk," she said. Jack didn't move. "Go ahead. I know what this place is now," she said. "I know what that core does. I know what happened to those ships. And I know why the galaxy is afraid." Jack finally turned to face her. And Rena stepped closer. "It's too much. We're not protecting our space. We're threatening existence itself. We're preventing war. By erasing people?" she asked, voice rising. "They don't even know what hit them. They don't know if their families exist anymore. This isn't defense, Jack. This is domination." Jack's face remained calm, but his voice dropped lower. "Do you think they would have listened to reason? They divided our space when we went silent. They carved it up, took what was ours. Now they want to test our limits again." Rena didn't back down. "So you'll keep erasing them? Even peaceful ships? Even ones that asked to talk?" "They had their chance." She shook her head. "Maybe we should have given them more." For a long moment, Jack said nothing. Then he looked back at the stars. "You weren't there during the first tests," he said. "I watched a ship disappear. And when I tried to look up its registration later, there was nothing. No model. No crew. It was like the ship was never built. The men who made it? Their careers had no records. Their families didn't remember them. Like reality rewrote itself." Rena's face paled. "That's what we're using," Jack said. "Not a weapon. A rewrite." She stepped back. "And we're using that to guard a border. We're using it," Jack said quietly, "because nothing else will stop them." An alert chimed. Rena turned toward the console. "Sir, Torwin's fleet is moving again. More ships coming into formation. I think they're preparing for a joint strike." Jack straightened. "Numbers. 17 confirmed ships. Multiple species. Coordinated pattern. Looks like a wide-range attack." He gave a slow nod. "Prepare the demonstration." Rena hesitated. "Are you sure? You're not erasing anyone this time." "No," Jack said. "Just a message." The bridge crew quickly took their positions. Jack stood before the main screen. A red target appeared on a remote star system, far outside any populated zone. An old mining region. Long abandoned. Jack tapped a command into the console. And then they watched. The targeted system was 40 light-years away, but Earth's new technologies bypassed distance. In real time, the system on the screen began to change. Not with fire or explosions, but with stillness. The sun faded to black. Its planets vanished, one by one. Moons, rings, debris, all erased. The stars behind the system became clearer, like a curtain had been pulled back. There was no wreckage, no radiation, no sign that anything had ever been there. Just empty space. Jack spoke calmly into the wide-range comm system. "To all fleets within range, the demonstration is complete. The coordinates you just observed are now empty. That system no longer exists. It has not been destroyed. It has been removed from reality. There will be no further warnings. Do not enter human space." Silence followed. Across the alien fleets, panic spread. Ships backed away. Messages flooded their networks. Some captains fled without orders. Others froze. No one moved closer. On the bridge, Jack gave a final order. "Maintain silence. Observe only." Then he walked off the bridge, his footsteps echoing in the quiet. Rena watched him go. Her hands trembled slightly. Outside, the stars kept blinking. But now, they blinked a little slower. A little dimmer. As if the galaxy itself had stopped to breathe. Silence fell across the alien fleets like a thick curtain. Thousands of officers, pilots, and commanders watched their screens as a star system, once real, once mapped, was no longer there. No debris. No signal. Just cold, empty space. It hadn't been destroyed. It had been removed. The demonstration had been clear. Commander Jack Voss had spoken only once after the event. No threats, no boasting, just calm, factual words, delivered with the weight of absolute confidence. Now, the galaxy understood. Humanity wasn't bluffing. On the obsidian talon, High Prefect Toruinval stared at the holomap, his four eyes wide. His commanders stood behind him in silence, afraid to speak. The system that had vanished was once known as Pella 7, an old mining region on the edge of neutral space. The Zalari used it as a training route 100 years ago. It was familiar, real, and now it didn't exist. No data, no light, no memory of its coordinates in their databases. I flew through that system as a cadet, Toruin whispered. No one answered. We used its moons for landing drills. My name was on those logs. Still, silence. He looked at his navigation officer. Bring up my flight history. The officer tried. The logs returned blank. Pella 7 had been erased, even from Toruin's own past. The prefect's pride cracked. Doubt crept in. This wasn't just a weapon. It was something beyond physics, beyond war. Back on Vigilant Edge, the human command center was still quiet. The crew watched as alien ships slowly drifted backward, retreating in silence. One by one, they turned. No warnings, no signals. They simply pulled away. They're leaving, Rena Sol said, standing by Jack's side. All of them. Jack nodded slowly, eyes on the screen. They understand now. Do they really? She asked. Or are they just afraid? Jack didn't answer right away. He stared at the map, at the space where Pella 7 had once been. It was hard to look at it without feeling the weight of what had happened. One moment it was there, full of history, memories, minerals, and data. The next, it was nothing. Not erased like a file. Not destroyed like a city. Undone, as if the universe had changed its mind. Fear brings order, Jack said at last. That's enough. Rena didn't agree. But she didn't argue. Not now. Behind them, the bridge was still and dimly lit. The tension that had lasted for days began to ease, replaced by a cold, uneasy calm. The human exclusion zone had held. No more ships crossed. No more signals came in. But the silence felt heavier than before. Jack turned and walked off the bridge without a word. Rena followed. They took a lift down to the lower decks again, the secure wing where the displacement core was kept. As they stepped out, the familiar hum of the field filled the air. It wasn't loud. It was barely audible, but it had a presence, like standing beside a mountain. Jack walked to the observation window again, staring into the chamber. I remember Pella 7, he said. I trained there too. I knew the old mining stations, the gas fields, the orange moons. All gone. Rena stood beside him. What happens to us if we use this again and again? Jack looked at her, then back at the core. It won't be used again, he said. Then why are we still guarding it? Because the galaxy is watching, he said. They think we're monsters now. Let them. Better they fear us than test us. Rena looked away, unsure if she could accept that. A small alert chimed on Jack's communicator. A private message from Earth Command. Mission outcome confirmed. Galactic compliance achieved. No further demonstrations authorized at this time. Return to Earth for debriefing. Jack read it in silence. Then he spoke quietly. We're going home. Later that cycle, Vigilant Edge sent its final broadcast. Human borders are now recognized. The exclusion zone remains permanent. Any breach will result in complete non-existence. Earth thanks you for your cooperation. No alien ships remained near the boundary. No challenges were sent. No protests filed. They all backed down. Because they had seen the truth. They had watched a star disappear, and with it, the last hope of defying humanity. Back on the obsidian talon, Toruin sat alone in his quarters. His pride had shattered. His confidence had dissolved. He stared at an old medal in his hand, a flight award from Pella 7. He tried to remember how he earned it. But the memory was fading. The journey back to Earth was slow and quiet. Vigilant Edge remained stationed at the edge of the human exclusion zone. But its commander, Jack Voss, had returned to the planet he once left behind. Earth hadn't changed on the surface. Cities still floated above clouds. Towers still pierced the sky. Forests stretched over preserved continents. But underneath, everything was different. Earth had become something else. Something the galaxy now feared. As Jack's shuttle descended through the upper atmosphere, he looked out across the blue horizon. Peaceful. Still. A planet that seemed untouched by war or ambition. But Jack knew better. Below those oceans, inside those mountains, within those research stations was the future. And the price of power. He landed at Central Command in New Geneva, Earth's capital since the silence. No parades welcomed him. No medals were pinned to his chest. Just a single debriefing room and a long table with 3 silent directors seated in black uniforms. "You succeeded," one of them said without emotion. "The exclusion zone is now respected. No confirmed incursions remain." Jack nodded. "The demonstration changed everything. They will not challenge us again." "No," Jack replied. "But now they fear us. That fear may not last forever." The room was still for a moment. Then the lead director spoke. "It will last as long as the memory of Pella 7. Jack didn't argue, but he didn't look satisfied either. He knew the truth. Fear always fades. It may take years or generations, but one day, someone would test the line again. And if Earth responded with the same silence, the cycle would repeat. Again and again. Until there was nothing left to erase. Later, Jack walked alone through the Gardens of Legacy, a quiet park built on top of the old United Nations site. Trees grew around white stones, each marked with a word: curiosity, sacrifice, hope. They were reminders of Earth's past. A past before the silence. Before fear became the first language. He stopped at a bench and sat down. Rena Soul joined him minutes later. She wore civilian clothes now. Her rank patch was gone. Her expression was softer, but the questions in her eyes were still sharp. "So," she said, "we held the line." Jack nodded. "For now. No one will forget what they saw." "Some already have," Jack said. "Pella 7 isn't just gone. It's forgotten. Entire records wiped. Entire histories rewritten. Ask anyone who lived near that system, they'll tell you it never existed." Rena looked away. "We created silence. But we also created fear." "That was the mission," Jack said. She paused. "Was it right?" Jack didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stood and looked at the sky. "I don't know anymore," he said. "The galaxy left us behind. We evolved. But what we became, I'm not sure we brought anything good back with us." Rena looked at him, her voice quiet. "Then why did we come back at all?" Jack gave a faint smile, tired and thoughtful. "To remind them we're still here. And to make sure they think twice before coming closer." The wind moved gently through the trees. A flock of white birds passed overhead. The city beyond the park was calm and orderly. People walked, worked, lived, all under the protection of something they didn't fully understand. Something they weren't meant to. Jack turned one last time toward the stars above. "We said nothing for 200 years. We returned with one message. And they listened. Not because they respected Earth. Because they feared what Earth had become." He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He simply walked on.